Greetings, fellow humans. You know me as Iceman Caesar, and this is what's up in the world today. Green is the color, football is the game. We're all not going to sing the whole song. Got a Saskatchewan Roughriders season preview coming up today. Also going to talk a little bit about just the CFL season preview overall. Talk a little bit about each team, but meat and potatoes of the video today definitely going to be about the Riders. But before I get into the season preview coming up for this year, I want to talk a little bit about we had some pretty big retirements in Rider Nation this off season. Plus, man, just a few days ago, like huge releases, huge cuts from training camp coming into the season. So definitely going to mention that. But just want to talk about first up the retirements. The big one, Darian Durant. For me. It's as far as quarterbacks for the Riders go, it's Ronnie number one for sure, but Darian Durant number two. And it's I don't think that Darian Durant got a lot of love from Rider Nation over his career and still does, but I don't think he got enough respect and enough credit for what he did and what he brought to the franchise for the course of his career with us. Because man, Darian Durant made it exciting to come out to Taylor Field, Mosaic Stadium every game. You know, like we knew we had a chance to win every season as long as Darian was in there. We knew we had a chance to win. That's why when he did have those season-ending injuries to start the year, and then at the Banjo Bowl, it was like those were brutal because Darian Durant had been such a consistent, strong force of just high quality football that everybody knew we had a chance with Darian, and you knew you were going to see an exciting game. Like Darian Durant was an exciting player to watch. He was really one of the best CFL players. I'm really so thankful that he got a ring. Not only did he get a ring, but he brought the Riders their first ever home Grey Cup, but not only home, but at Taylor Field. So Taylor Field, before we had to say goodbye to it, it got to celebrate a Saskatchewan Roughriders Grey Cup on its home soil. So that's just, to me, that I'll never forget what happened in 2013. That was one of the greatest seasons I've ever experienced. The playoffs were amazing. Man, the semifinal game versus BC when Darian Durant just took it over and decided I'm not losing this game. We are not. Nobody else is celebrating a championship on this field. We are doing it. And he took over with his legs and watch. Unfortunately, I was out of town for a wedding, so I had to watch that on somebody's phone, huddled around. But all the Rider fans it was pretty funny. It was a pretty funny scene. 2 or 3 Rider fans that were there were huddled around the phone, and nothing else is kind of going on. Everybody's quiet, and all of a sudden, yes. So that was a pretty cool experience. But watching that game, it's you're almost starting to be like, wow, we're not going to win the Grey Cup at home. This is not going to happen. But, Darian just put the team on his back, and I think he finished with 97 rushing yards, just an unbelievable performance. Probably his finest hour. I mean, he's had many, many great performances as a Rider, but that one was just what had so much impact on winning the championship. And it was just, to me, that was maybe his finest hour, because that was a moment where you could, Darian Durant took that game over, and it was just great. That's what great players are able to do. That's what legendary players are able to do. And to me, Darian Durant is absolutely a Rider legend, one of my favorite players of all time. And it was an absolute treat and a pleasure to be able to watch him perform as a Rider. And I wish at the end of his career it could have ended a little better, but I don't know if there's any better way to retire than pissing off the entirety of Bummer Nation. And man, did he ever. The Bummer fans were so pissed after he got his $70K signing bonus and then decided to retire. But it's not that big of a deal. The Bombers knew that he wasn't responding as well, like he thought, to his workouts, and that things were not where he needed to be. They still gave him the bonus, still kept him on. So you can't say he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything illegal or against the rules. He wasn't trying to hide it. He was up front, and they paid him the bonus. Obviously they thought he would maybe repay it, or I don't know, not accept if he was not going to play. But I'm sure at that point, at the time he got the bonus, he didn't know if he was going to play or not. The closer it gets, that's when you're sure. But how many times have CFL teams cut players right before they were going to get a bonus. Like, it happens so often. It's almost embarrassing, because it's like, we want to create a league where players want to come, and it's like, if they're not getting to see these contracts through to get their bonuses, then it really doesn't mean anything when they're offered. So it's I definitely, I don't like to see any player not get a bonus, or any team give a bonus and then not have the player be on the team. But it's happened so much for the players that I'm not going to pitch a fit over a player. A player do, and he didn't. He was upfront with them, so it's not like he was being shady or anything like that. So it's $70,000. It's not. It's not like it was 700 grand or something like that. So it's really water under the bridge, and it's a nice little retirement gift from for the years and the effort he put in. Obviously not exactly for Bomber Nation, but whatever, it is what it is. It happens both sides, and hopefully down the road we can build a league where players get their bonuses paid out, and teams are able to pay out big bonuses and not have it hurt them. Like, that's the league we want to build. We want these guys to be able to make as much as close as possible to their NFL counterparts, because they're putting on just as quality entertainment. It's completely different football. It's like, I can't stand when people get into comparing them, because they're two different leagues. But that's getting a little bit off track. But I just Darian Durant was just such a great player, and I just want to just give him a big cheers, much love, and God bless him and his family in retirement, and he'll hopefully he'll be around the team and just the community for years and years to come, the rest of his life, because that's what he's earned. He's earned the right to have everyone lift him up when they see him with positive comments, and just be able to be involved in the community that just loves and appreciates him so much. So I really believe that in retirement he'll get a lot more of that respect and credit that he didn't get when he was playing, because just for whatever reason. But it was an amazing run, an amazing career, and a big thanks and cheers to Darian Durant. Next one that retired was one of the most important members of the Canadian Air Force, Chris Getzlaff. And what an amazing career it was. It's like, having an older brother in the NHL could easily feel overshadowed, and maybe let that keep you from reaching your potential. But Chris Getzlaff doesn't have to stand in the shadow of anybody. He had an absolutely amazing career. He was put on so many great performances, so many clutch catches for us. There was a time where he was struggling hard with his dropping footballs, but he grinded it down, and he just kept working, and eventually he just built the great legendary career that he's made. And it was such a treat to have something like the Canadian Air Force, and to watch them go to work, and to watch them just be dominant, great players. And that's what we need. We need our Canadian players to play as great as possible, and to raise their game as high a level as possible. And Chris Getzlaff did all those things, and he's such a great example for these receivers coming up. Hopefully he's able to stay around football and keep working with receivers, and help these guys raise their game, because he's a guy that can, if he sees a receiver struggling, he's been there. He's had people question whether he should be at the pro level still, and he kept fighting, kept grinding, kept getting better, and eventually I'm sure he'll definitely be in the Riders Hall of Fame. I think he's carved himself out a Hall of Fame career. So it was a treat to watch him. It was a treat to watch him play as a Rider, and he was, not only was he a great player on the field, but he was such a great person, and had such great character off the field. So that's what as Rider Nation we want. We want great players on the field, but we want that greatness to stay with your character when you go off the field. And it's Chris Getzlaff was absolutely a player that was both great on and off the field, and he'll definitely be missed around football, around Rider Nation. But I'm sure he's a Regina boy, Saskatchewan boy, so we'll definitely see him around the city, community, and team. But it was a great run, and just big time cheers, much love. God bless to him and his family in retirement, and just a big thanks to Chris Getzlaff. It was awesome to watch him perform. Excuse me. And then another retirement, the big boost. John Chick, man, one of my favorite players to watch. It's like those big, massive defensive linemen are so fun to watch because it's just like, especially when they're athletic, as athletic as John Chick was. Just to be able to watch them just beast through the line and destroy a quarterback. Woo! Oh, there's not a lot better than that, and just blow up the line and stuff a run is like John Chick is one of those guys where when the game's getting down to it and you need one of those big quarterback sacks or you need to run stop. John Chick could get in there and he could get it done, and it was just a cool name. It's such a great guy. I mean, another one like Chris Getzlaff and Darian Durant. Great both on and off the field. Totally involved himself into the community, tried to help bring as much positivity and good energy to the riders and to the fans. Still does it. Definitely going to be a big force in the community and with the team and in the city, in his retirement years. So, but it was, John Chick was just. He's the kind of player that, for a long time we used to watch other teams have. It's like, man, I wish the Riders could develop a guy like that. I wish the Riders could have a player like that. And, for us to have, John Chick's really, he's our own, he's a Rider. So even though he played for, other teams, it's like John Chick is Rider Nation. So it was always nice to be able to have him as one of our guys we could point to and, say like, this guy's one of the best. And, a huge part of winning the 2013 Grey Cup, coming back and getting it done. So it's, he's just another guy. I'm just so glad that 2013 Grey Cup really covered a lot of ground for getting Riders players rings that, every player deserves it, but that 2013 really got covered a lot of guys that did deserve it. So it's John Chick was just an awesome guy to watch. He was a beast on the field. He was a beast as a good person off the field, and it was just so awesome to watch him play, and he is definitely going to be missed, on the field. And I can't say off the field because he's still going to be around and be a big force. So, big time cheers, much love, and God bless to John Chick and his family in retirement. It was an absolute pleasure to watch you, punish people for Rider Nation. So, big time cheers. And the last retirement I'm going to talk about, not a Rider retirement, but Nick Lewis, the big Nick Lewis, one of the greatest receivers, not just in CFL, one of the greatest receivers in football, NFL too. I mean, I guarantee you could have Nick Lewis in his prime. You could have stuck him on an NFL roster, and he would have made plays. He would have made catches. He would have come up with big time moments. Like Nick Lewis is a big time player. He's a legendary player in our league. Had one of the best careers. Oh God, there were points where I could not stand him. One of those guys where you love to hate him. He's one of those guys where he brings up those hateful emotions. I don't like to use the word hate. Hate's such an awful thing and it's such a presence in our world. I don't like to use it to just throw it around for anything. But, he brought up those hate emotions where, you love to hate him, but it wasn't like he wasn't doing bad or negative things really. He was just, being very confident, cocky, I guess, arrogant. But he wasn't, I don't think Nick Lewis ever really crossed the line or anything like that. He never had off the field issues and stuff like that. He was just brash, confident, and he could back it up. So he was a frustrating guy because not only would he, get a big first down catch, get a big touchdown catch, but he'd tell you he's going to do it, talk to you while he's doing it, and then tell you about it after. So Nick Lewis was, he's just one of those guys you love to hate, but one of those guys the CFL needs, and I was so glad that we had characters like him to be in our league and to make it fun to watch. And he is part of that Celebration era Stampeders team with, to this day, to me, there's no better post touchdown celebration than the bicycle, the human bicycle. There's nothing better than that. That was incredible. And these are like 4 or 5 football players. Obviously they practiced it, but these aren't like Cirque du Soleil guys. These aren't gymnasts or whatever. Not circus. These are 4 or 5 football players that figured this out, got together and did it. Like that's the most impressive thing. It drove me nuts that it was the Stamps that did it, because at that time the Rider Stamp rivalry was really getting getting hot, and it was just couldn't stand those guys, but they're doing things that made me like go, oh, that's awesome. And even in Edmonton when they're doing the bobsled, they had that stamp, the celebration era stamps definitely. I'm sure like Canadian Football League stories aren't exactly making 30 for 30s, but that would be a fun 30 for 30 or something like that. If TSN, I know TSN kind of got into a Canadian version of 30 for 30 a little bit a few years ago, but if they ever do anything like that again, the celebration era Stampeders would be really fun because they did a lot of cool celebrations, and they had a lot of success. So it was, but Nick Lewis, one of the fun players to watch. He was, even though you couldn't stand him, he wasn't one of those bad negative guys that was committing crimes or doing illegal things or anything like that. He was cocky, he was confident, and he could back it up. So it was, he'll definitely be missed on the field. It seems like he's going to try and stick around in coaching, or maybe, he would be a perfect analyst. You can't just put him on the panel. He needs his own segment. He needs the freedom to do his own thing. He needs to have his tools and his toys to play with. Because Nick Lewis is a personality. He's a character, and he's just a fun guy. He could really bring a new kind of freshness, a new fresh energy to the CFL pre and post game, and just the analysis type shows. And TSN has Cabby working for them. I think Cabby and Nick Lewis would be a great kind of fit for each other. Cabby could kind of help Nick Lewis stay on the rails. It's but Cabby's definitely got the same energy to go along with it. But I don't know. That's just one idea thrown out there. But it's nice to see that Nick Lewis is going to try and stick around. And he had definitely one of the best players in CFL history. So obviously not a rider, but one of those guys where he just would have loved to have been able to see him in the green and white, be able to cheer for him. But it wasn't to be. Still a great career, and a big time cheers and much love and God bless to Nick Lewis and his family in retirement. And we'll definitely be seeing you down the road. And so that does it for the retirements. So before we get into the preview for the Riders season, just a couple things that I wanted to talk about before I get into it. First thing was now I know there was a big uproar about not being able to watch the second Riders preseason game on TV, and obviously me as well. I would have loved to watch it, but man, the complaining around this, like, holy cow, people, we need to check ourselves. We need to settle things down a little bit and realize, just the complaining, people why can't I watch this? I deserve to watch this. I should get to watch this. Why is Johnny Manziel on TV and Riders aren't? And just the complaint, TSN sucks. Screw TSN. It's like, wow, people, calm down. It's a preseason game. Who cares? Obviously I want to watch to be able to kind of evaluate for myself how things are going, to see what the team looks like. But really, it's just a preseason. And there's reasons for it. They don't televise it because it's in Regina, and they know that people would rather watch it on TV than go to the stadium and watch a preseason game. Like me, I couldn't care less about preseason other than just looking to evaluate to see how things are coming along. But it's not the end of the world. And I just realized, okay, TSN's not going to show it, so I'll listen to it on the radio, put it on the TV, was doing stuff on the internet kind of at the same time, and it was fine. You give some ratings to CKRM support. It helps. It helps everything. The radio stations get viewership, listening audience, and there's going to be lots of regular season game. Every regular season game is on TV, so it's not the end of the world, and it's. I just really think that TSN deserves a lot more respect and a lot more credit for everything that they have done and everything they do for the CFL. People that, obviously they're not perfect. There's things they do that deserve criticism, absolutely. But these people that just throwing out these just nasty comments. TSN sucks. Screw TSN. We need to get off of TSN. Honestly, that scares the crap out of me, and all I want to do is tell people at TSN, don't listen to these people. We love you. We love the CFL on TSN. We want the CFL to be on TSN for forever, as long as everybody keeps doing, keeps their end of the bargain. It's like CFL. don't think that CFL fans don't appreciate what TSN does for the CFL, because we absolutely do. I mean, I would say these people don't remember, weren't around when the Riders and every game wasn't televised, but most people complaining are way older than me, so they definitely were. And it's like, do you guys not remember waiting for the schedule to come out to see how many Rider games were going to be televised and be, oh man, 3, 4. It's like, do you not remember that? It's like, and then TSN came to the rescue, stepped up, and not only, like, they probably saved the league with what they did, televising every single game, injecting some freshness and energy to the product with their panel shows and the Friday night football marketing. I mean, we have that Friday night football tonight. It's like, man, it's our own thing. It's a great brand. It's a great product. It's a great thing to look to every Friday night when the CFL is on. It's like that TSN has done so much, and now they're paying like they're paying high premium prices for the CFL product, which allows the CFL to spread that money around the league, to keep it surviving, to keep it going. The way some people talk, it's like they just act like the CFL is always going to be here, and that some network is always going to put every game on the network. Like, that isn't the case. Like, CFL isn't owned by billionaires. We don't have billionaire owners. We don't have all the worldwide mainstream media, covering every single game. It's like we don't have the media attention that other sports have. We don't have the money in here, so it's like we need to do things a lot different than other sports, and we need to appreciate things like TSN having such a great relationship with the CFL and televising every game in the regular season, every game in the playoffs, having a product that allows ESPN to say, okay, we're going to jump in, we're going to televise some games, and now ESPN is televising more CFL games than they ever have before. It's like, that's how you grow the game, and that is due to the product that TSN has been presenting. So people need to stop with this. I mean, I'm not saying TSN is perfect. There are things they do that frustrate me. They have commentators that frustrate me. But really, these commentators love the CFL. They love the game. So it's like, I know it's not a perfect world. I'm not going to like everyone. I'm sure there's people out there that love these guys that drive me nuts. And I'm sure that the things that drive me nuts don't drive other people as nuts. But it's just, TSN has been such a great thing for the CFL. It's the perfect relationship. I love the guys, like Dunnigan, Climby, Schultze. It's throughout the years, the guys that have been hosting, Randorf, he's gone, but it was nice to have him. And it's just the CFL on TSN is a great product. It's at TSN, for the most part, they do a great job in presenting the CFL and giving us, camera angles and trying to give us pre and post game shows. And it's, this is not always going to happen. You think Sportsnet's going to care about the CFL the way TSN does? Hell no. We would get, if God, I mean, it would be over for the CFL if we ended the relationship with TSN. Sportsnet doesn't care. I mean, you read a lot of their articles so negatively, so much negativity, so confrontational, look at the CFL, they're not this. It's like a lot of the sports, I'm not saying everyone, they do have some good CFL fans that's helping support and grow the game at Sportnet, but there's a lot too many guys that have this elitist attitude about the CFL that just have this stick their nose up at the CFL and they're for no reason negatively slanted, just constant criticisms that are just ridiculous about the CFL. Like, a lot of that happens at Sportsnet. We'd be into an awful world where games would be off TV and preempted, and all of a sudden there would be, I really think CFL fans need to appreciate TSN a lot more than we do. And I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying there's not things they do that should be criticized. They do, but it goes too far, and people are spewing way too much negativity their way a lot of the time. So it's, I just really want the people at TSN to know that, don't let the vocal minority, make you think that you're not appreciated and that people don't want the CFL on TSN, because we absolutely do. And it's just, obviously we want every single game preseason. Excuse me. every single preseason game televised. We want practice feeds on all TSN feeds. Like, it's just, I mean, and people complaining about them televising the 2 preseason games that Johnny Manziel was playing. Like, are you guys, do you not get it? Do you not see how the world works? Johnny Manziel's a name that will draw eyes. It's like nobody's gonna. Do you think anybody really is gonna care about a normal Hamilton Montreal preseason football game in college football circles or NFL circles? Like, yeah, not really. But you had a name like Johnny Manziel, people would be like, yeah, I wonder what he looks like. I wonder what he's doing. And the CFL game can speak for itself. Like, once people tune in, they're going to enjoy the product. They're going to enjoy the game. They might chuckle at the Rouge, or they might look at the wet, like wonder why are these guys allowed to run up to the line? It's like, but it's just if you get into it and watch, they'll enjoy the game. It's entertaining. You'll have fun, and it's really you'll just understand why the CFL's been around for over 100 years and why people love it so much and it has so much support. It's just, but TSN is trying to grow the game. They're trying to bring in viewers, and showing Johnny Manziel play football it's gonna at least bring some curious eyes that knew him from college and the NFL. Like, whether you like it or not, he's a name, and he's coming here to play, and TSN is in the business of trying to bring as many viewers as they can to the CFL product to make money, and televising games that star players are in are absolutely what is going to do that. And obviously Johnny Manziel's not a star in the CFL yet. He's really only a star in college, and had a rough time in the NFL, but it's not a bad thing that he's here, especially with the attitude he seemed to show. Like, he's not really worried about money. He knows that he's I think he signed a 2-year contract, so he's gonna have to show it for 2 years. But the guy clearly loves playing football, and the best version of himself loves playing football. He's a football player, and I think the CFL, as long as he embraces it and just approaches things the right way, it's gonna bring out the best version of himself. Because CFL is more like getting together with guys, getting together with 24 of your buddies and going out to the field and playing football. Like, obviously that doesn't happen a lot, but it's more along that kinds of football. Than NFL is really more controlled, and the rules. It's like for a catch to be a catch, you have to have 2 feet on the ground and do a cartwheel and do a one handstand, and if one of your arm hairs falls out onto the ground, then it's not a catch. And it's like just so many ridiculous things to try. It's all about control, and to make you follow rules, and the more rules you follow, the more control goes into that. But it's like I think Johnny Manziel is really going to love the CFL game, and it's I truly believe that if the money and the media attention was the same in both leagues, you'd see so many more of the offensively skilled players move over to the CFL, because it's with the bigger field and the waggle. It's like, could you imagine Antonio Brown being able to run up to the line? Oh my, DBs would have to be able to basically run their 40 back at the same time, run their 40 at the same time forwards and backwards. It'd be insane. But it's like, man, I guarantee if the media attention and money was the same, you'd see a lot more of the offensive players in the CFL. Not the defensive players. They wouldn't be able to do it. It's like, that's another thing. I truly believe that eventually the NFL is going to have to move to CFL-sized fields, because these guys are getting too big. You can't play on these sardine can NFL fields when these guys are these big jacked-up monsters, because on a smaller field they can be bigger and muscular. That's why these hits are getting worse and these injuries are getting worse. And someone's eventually going to die because they're going to get hit so hard. A guy's going to be so jacked up and muscular, he's going to be able to propel himself forward so greatly that it's just going to be too great of a force for someone to withstand, especially if they don't see it coming. But with a bigger, the CFL size field, you cannot pack on that kind of muscle. You can't be that muscular. You just can't cover enough ground, and you can't be as quick and agile as you need to be. So you got to be leaner. You have to drop that. You can't have that muscle. I believe it's gonna get there, because something bad is gonna. I pray it never does. I pray that somehow, some way, they make the change to bigger fields without anything catastrophic happening. But it doesn't seem like anything ever changes until something really bad happens. But it's going to have to, because on those smaller fields, you can be too muscular and too big, and it just allows you to hit people too hard. But it's true. It's true. It doesn't sound tough, but it's true. There is a point where we're playing a game here. It's like, it's not worth your life. It's not worth losing the excuse me. It's not worth losing the quality of life you're going to have after you retire and, for the rest of it. Like, I love football is my favorite sport, but it's not worth your life, and it's not worth the quality of your life for the rest of it. I don't care. It's like, if you can't if you can't have a professional football league without people being maimed and injured and just basically mangled, it's like, well, then things need to change, and bigger fields will definitely help that. But it's it's just, people need to understand why TSN is showing 2 preseason games with Johnny Manziel, and it's not a bad thing. It's smart business by TSN, and TSN's only looking to grow the CFL. And as Rider fans, we have to be CFL fans really first. I mean, at least as on the same level as the Riders, because every single team is not as popular and as good shape as the Riders, and if we can't afford to have teams start dropping off, because you can't have a professional league like that. So we need to do everything we can to keep the CFL as a league strong, and sometimes that's going to be pushing rivalries to the side. It's like not laughing at Winnipeg when their attendance is low, or their Calgary attendance is low. I don't know if we have to figure out some way to help to bring these cities up, and once everybody's in a good position, then we can get back to the give or shit type stuff and giving each other hard times and getting back into the rivalries. I'm not saying that it's don't cheer against other teams and da da da. I'm just saying, don't laugh at other teams' misfortunes, and you just have to take a look. You just have to know when it's rivalry talk and when you're actually maybe hurting the franchise or hurting. It's not like attendance issues are not funny in the CFL for any team, and so it's like we just need to do everything we can to promote the game so that all 9 teams, hopefully we can get a 10th team in Atlantic Canada, so we can get all 9 and hopefully eventually 10 teams to be just as strong and healthy and making lots of money, lots of profits, so that players can make money, coaches can make money, fans can be entertained by the product, and it's but we're all trying to just grow the CFL here. So I just really believe that TSN deserves a little bit more credit and respect than they've gotten in just some of the comments just drive me. They honestly scare me, because I don't want the CFL to ever be off of TSN. I love the relationship, but I wanted to stay that way going forward. The other random thing I wanted to talk about. I don't want to be negative, but it's like, this is specifically for Rider stuff. Excuse me. It just like it drives me nuts when people give a lot of disrespect to TSN. Man, does it drive me nuts the way some Rider fans and analysts and things like that talk about Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers and the Riders from that era. Man, oh man, it just frustrates the crap out of me. It drives me nuts to no end, and it's like you're clueless. If you have a negative opinion of Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers era Riders, you're clueless, man. You're clueless, because if it wasn't for those two, we would not have. We would not have the 2007 Grey Cup. We would not, things would be totally different, and our franchise might not conceivably. I never believed this franchise would ever go away, no matter how much trouble. The only way I think it would is if the entire league folded, but this team would have been in huge trouble without Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers. And what they did, they built the foundation for success, not only for that 2007 Grey Cup, but they built the foundation of success for even that we're experiencing now. And even the culture that the fans got into and created, that all came from the Danny Barrett, Roy Shivers era Riders. And I remember one of the smartest things and one of the most impressive things that I have so much respect for that they did was, I remember they made the decision, I think it was in 2000, that they had some talented defensive backs, but these guys were young, they were inexperienced, and that it was going to be a big learning curve, but they were going to stick with them, they were going to have faith, and they were not going to give up on them. And it was rough. 2000, they got lit up and destroyed. 2001, lit up and destroyed. But eventually, these guys they kept fighting, they kept learning, they kept scratching and crawling. They got better, and man, that built the foundation of a great defense that was able to lead us into the 2004 Western. I believe it was the Western final. Could be a semifinal. But one where McCallum missed a 13-yard field goal. Like, I mean, we would not have, like, that was. I think people forget how close we were to getting to the next level. I mean, everybody did everything. It's just all McCallum had to do was kick a 13-yard field goal. But I mean, that is what it is, and it's. But it's like, it was like the plan that Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers had for the franchise built the foundation for the success that gave us a chance to go to the Grey Cup. Now obviously were Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers the right guys to get this team over the hump? I mean, when you look at 2004, it's hard for me to say no because they were right there. Everything was done right. It's just kick your field goal. If McCallum makes that field goal, maybe BC's kicker misses, and he gets all the heat from that, and the Riders go on to the Grey Cup, and it's a completely different story. But things didn't go that way, and so it is what it is. So we have to look. Were Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers the guys to get that team over the hump to the Grey Cup? Probably not, because then they really proved it. They signed their ticket out of town, when they refused to go all in on Henry Burris. It's like, it was insane. I mean, Henry Burris should have been our quarterback in 2005. He never should have went to Calgary. He never should have been told by Shivers and Barrett, whoever told him that he's going to have to compete with Nealon Green for the starting job. Like, should have been said, you're our starter, you're the man, we're going to give you the contract, you're going to lead us, we're behind you. That's what should have been done, and they wrote their own ticket out of town when they allowed Henry Burris to leave town. Like, they did it to themselves. They have nobody to blame for them not taking that team to a Grey Cup but themselves. But make no mistakes about it, they built the foundation that was there in 2007 for Kent Austin to come in and for Eric Tillman to come in and build that and to get that team together and to win that Grey Cup in 2007. And that helped create, Roy Shivers and Danny Barrett helped make the Riders cool again. They helped to make the Riders, these were not, I remember, a lot of diehards hated those black uniforms, but for me, my generation, man, we loved that. That really helped connect me to the team as a fan. I was like, these uniforms are sweet, man, because the Riders for so long had been just the losers of the CFL and just never winning, and they hadn't won a Grey Cup since '89, and it was just all in the '90s were brutal years for the Riders. So it was just everything that Shivers and Barrett did, they built that culture. They helped put the energy back in Rider Nation, and so it really bothers me when people say, look at they just make really negative comments, or they're really critical, or they don't give them any credit, and they act like Barrett and Shivers were complete bums and losers that just had a team that didn't know how to do anything and wasn't going anywhere, and that they were just completely lost. And it was that's not the case. Danny Barrett, this whole, Rider Nation was always diehards. It was always bleed green to the end. I'm not saying that they created this, big culture, but they helped bring it into modern culture. That's kind of what I'm saying. They helped bring Rider pride, Rider Nation into the modern culture because it wasn't there. They didn't have the team to do it. The bridge from the bridge that the team is supposed to be wasn't there. The teams were awful. They could not do it. But Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers, by just the different things they did on and off the field, like the uniforms and trying to involved in doing more training camps, doing more camps, looking for talent. It's just the things that they did, the support that they gave those players, not giving up on them, allowing them to fail, just built them. And we had some lots of Rider legends we had because of that. And it was just they absolutely built the foundation for that 2007 Grey Cup, and they helped create this modern foundation of Rider Nation that we have going, where the logo's everywhere. You do put a little Rider logo on something, it sells. It's like Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers were a big part of that, and it bothers me with the way people talk about when the things some people say. I mean, I'm not saying they were all sunshine and rainbows, that they were perfect, they didn't make any mistakes, that they did. There's not things that they didn't. They didn't. There are things that they didn't do wrong. Like there absolutely were, but is for the most part now that it's now that we know we're now that it's in the past. We've it's been years and years since then. There's no reason for any of that negativity to be. To be talked about. Like the positive things that they did and the positive contributions they made so far outweigh anything negative. It's that's why it bothers me so much that the negative stuff is even brought up and talked about, because they were such a big part of this team and what we're in the culture that we have today, that it's just I really believe they should be embraced a lot more than they are by Rider Nation. Because there are a lot of comments, and it's a lot of people that that I don't think give them enough respect and credit. So just wanted to mention that before getting in the preview. I don't want to be negative. I mean, I love the Riders. I love Rider Nation. I love the pride we have. And I mean, I know that when Rider fans are overly critical, it's only because we want to win so bad, and we want our team lifted up to the highest level, and we want to see the best performances. Like, I know that, but it's like we just need to have some things in perspective, and we need to treat some people and things as special as they are, and Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers are absolutely special to the Rider organization. Deserve a lot more credit and respect than they get. But that's kind of just end of the random things I wanted to talk about. So we'll get into the 2018 season preview for the Riders. And despite the really rough preseason, especially that second game at home, but despite that, I'm honestly really optimistic for this season. Call me crazy deluded Rider fan, but I'm excited. I think that this team can do big things. I really think this team has a shot to do something as far as getting to the Grey Cup, and it's just it's going to be all about putting it together. And you know what? It starts at your quarterback, and I'm really expecting big things from not just one of Collaros and Bridge, but both guys. I mean, 18 games is a serious grind, and I just truly believe in the CFL. You gotta have two capable quarterbacks ready to go to be able to win, because if it's not guaranteed you're gonna need both, but I mean, this is the CFL. You guys are going to have bad games. There's going to be injuries, so you need both. You need to have both guys, and I really hope the Riders do not even think about making a trade of either guy, because it is such a great luxury to have two guys that probably should be starting somewhere in the CFL. I mean, Collaros is a number one starter talent. Bridge showed himself, looked like he's ready to put himself in the conversation as one of the guaranteed starters in the CFL. So it's awesome to have both of those guys. Hopefully they're able to work together and find a relationship where they can both want to be, the number one guy, but at the same time still support each other in not only preparing, but while the other is out there, because it's tough to want to be someone's job and at the same time help them do their job good, and to cheer them on to do it, because you want that. But man, if you're able to do that, you'll gain a strength that is just on another level, and you'll be able to be the kind of man that's just like, to be able to do that. It requires a certain type of strength and a certain type of person. So I'm just I really hope they're able to find how to work out that relationship together, because I think we'll be good to go with either guy. I think it's going to be Collaros the starter, but hasn't been announced yet, so it could be Bridge. It's I was really excited about Brandon Bridge coming into this season. I would have been okay going with Kevin Glenn and Brandon Bridge again. I thought that combo was good, because Kevin Glenn was at a point in his career where you could pull him out at points and put Brandon Bridge in, and it's not gonna I mean, obviously Glenn as a competitor, he'd be not gonna be happy coming out, but at the same time, it's like, he knows where he's at in his career. He knows Bridge needs to develop. So I thought they had a good relationship, and I would have been okay with rolling in that. But if you're able to bring in a talent the caliber of Zach Collaros, I mean, you gotta pull the trigger and go after it, because I mean, Zach Collaros with with the way he can throw the football and our receiving core that we have, it's like, big things could happen. So it's, you kind of had to pull the trigger if you have that opportunity. So it's, I just really hope they're able to figure out a relationship, how to work together, because, they could get a Grey Cup that they both earned. They both have a stake to. So it's, it's tough. Quarterback position's it's a very narcissistic position. Very about, very ego, very me. You touch the ball every play. You're the conductor, so to speak. So sometimes it's, like I say, it's tough to find that point where you can support somebody and help somebody to do a job you want. But it's, if you can do that, great things will happen. So I'm expecting great things from either guy. Whoever is out there for the majority of the time, I think we're gonna do good things. But as always, it's gonna come down to the offensive line. They are gonna need the protection, and I don't even want to talk about the protection that went on in the second preseason game. Thankfully I didn't see it, because that would have been ugly to watch. If you have to take your quarterbacks out of the game because they're being destroyed and the offensive line can't protect them, I'm like, my God, that is a disaster of a problem coming into the first game of the season. So it sounds like Chris Jones is trying to make room. He's going to be bringing in a lot of offensive line talent. We desperately need it. And it's sucks to be in this position, because injuries come with football, but we are at a point, especially on the offensive line, where we cannot afford injuries. So it's like, it's very offensive line is definitely one of my most concerning areas of the team. It's it is the toughest position in football. You are smashing into people every game, and not only, but offensive line. See, defensive line is different. You're propelling forward. You are trying to push through. Whereas an offensive lineman, you're trying to hold steady, and you're trying to push forward, but you're trying to keep from moving backwards. And it's just it's a different impact to where if you're trying to hold and you get smashed into, as opposed to just moving forward and trying to smash into something. So it's, offensive line is the roughest, most brutal position in the game. So that's why offensive linemen get so much respect from their running backs and quarterbacks, because they know the hell they go through to be able to go through their protections just to play the game. You think about it. Every single play you're out there, you're smashing into somebody, and that takes its toll. And some games it's fun, some games it's not so fun. So it's I just really hoping that the offensive line can come together and find a consistency in their coverages and things like that, helping each other out with their assignments. Because it's as a bigger guy, I've always loved the offensive line. When I played football, the majority of my time was on the offensive line. So it's I had to kind of have a special, little kind of a kinship, I guess, with offensive linemen. So I always I pay more attention. I always love seeing a good offensive line go to work. It's like, when they're crushing a defensive line, when they're just opening, just creating Swiss cheese out of a defense, opening holes every single cut, and it's just, I just love to watch a great performance of an offensive line. So hopefully our guys can come together, because I think we have the team to get us to the Grey Cup. Not every offensive line can say that they have the team behind them that can get them to the Grey Cup if they do their jobs and they're able to provide the adequate protection. But the Riders' offensive line, they can say they have a team around them that can get them to the Grey Cup and give them a ring if they do their jobs and they provide their protection. So it's worth it to put that extra effort out there, that extra training, that extra study, whatever you have to do. It's worth it to put that out there, because the team around you will respond. And it's and it's hard, sometimes when you put out that extra effort and you get banged up a little bit more, and there's more, you do a little bit more, and then you see your offense just give the ball right back, or just dropping passes or skipping passes. And it's tough to go into the trenches and keep grinding away like that. But when the team around you is responding, it's just that's when the machine really starts moving forward. So I love a good offensive line, and I think the Riders have the I think we have the potential there to be a great offensive line. It's just, it's clear that we need to bring in some talent to push everybody, but just I think we can. It's just as long as the offensive line can provide the protection, we got the team that can get us to the Grey Cup. So just offensive line, just keep that in mind. That if you do your job, it's like the rest of the team should be able to respond the way that you need to. So it has to be better because can't get much worse than that performance in the second preseason game. But that's just such a disaster that I'd really like to see him come out in game one and just be the complete opposite, night and day. That was last preseason game was such a bad one. Let's go out in the first regular season game and just really dominate and really show the CFL that preseason is preseason and regular season is game time. So let's go. And sticking with the offense, I'm really excited about our running backs coming into this season. We got the big man, we got the big dog, the big horse, Jerome Messam back in green and white, and it was sucked to see him doing beasting out for the Stamps, but he is motivated and hungry with the way the last two Grey Cups have gone for Calgary. So it's I'm glad to have him in the green and white. Messam's going to be motivated, but with all the talented running backs we have, I think it's going to be a great help for Messam. He's not going to get overloaded with a workload, or he's not going to he's going to be able to rest his injuries if he gets banged up or anything like that, and he's just going to be able to focus on just laying the hammer down. So it's I'm really excited for our running backs. Thigpen's going to miss the first two games, but after that, he's going to be rocking and rolling. And he's looking like the best running back to start the year. As far as training camp and preseason goes, he's looking like he's. Last year, he was one of our best players, so I'm really excited to see him get to work this year. And in addition to some couple former NFL guys, Trey Mason and Zach Stacy look like they're going to be. I don't know. I guess I didn't read too much about Trent Richardson's situation. I think it was personal, so hopefully everything's good with him and good to go. But man, it sucked that he's not back. I thought he was just getting better and better and better as every game he played last year, and I thought that this year was really going to be a coming out party for him and put himself back on the map, but unfortunately just wasn't able to be in camp and be with the team this year. So but I think I'm sure him coming here and doing what he did was open the door and just let everyone know about the Riders, especially for guys like Trey Mason and Zach Stacy. And Trey Mason has had a really good preseason, so has Zach Stacy. So I think these guys are going to really love the CFL. And once the offensive line gets rolling, and again, I think Zach Stacy, I believe, is on the practice roster. Really glad he didn't get outright released, that he accepted the roster, and we can keep him around because injuries always happen and we're going to need him. But it was just both guys showed so much potential already. It's like I want to see them in the regular season. I want to see them going when our offensive line is rocking, when our offense is rolling. The quarterbacks and receivers are clicking. So it's I'm excited about our running back attack this year, and I think that it's just obviously the offensive line is key for any team. But if we can get our guys going and we can get those holes open and the protection going, man, we're gonna have an attack that nobody's gonna be able to stop. As far there's so much talent. We just you just got to put it together, and putting it together is the hardest thing. But it's like I say, really excited about our running backs this year. And man, Christian Jones on returns. Oh God, last year he almost punched our ticket to the Grey Cup with that that epic return. And I just, why can't that be a moment for us? It's like it would have been such a great moment in Riders history to have that return, get us to the Grey Cup. But, it wasn't meant to be. But I'm really excited to see him get back to work on returns this year. It sounds like he's been one of the big he's been one of the big performers. He's looked really good, and in training camp in the preseason games. So hopefully he gets back to the same form he was at. We desperately need him. We desperately need him to return to form, because field position is the first battle you have to win in football. And it's a battle that it seems like the Riders are always on the losing end of a lot throughout the years. So but a guy like Christian Jones can tip the scale, put you on their side of the field so much of the time. So I really hope that he's able to return to form, and that special teams can provide the coverages and open some lanes for him, so that he can. Because I mean, if you open the lanes for him, he can definitely make things happen. But we've had some brutal special teams coverages, throughout the years. So I hope that special teams is able to just give Christian Jones a chance to be the great player that he is. Because man, what a great moment that! It's still a great moment, that kick return. Excuse me, even though it wasn't a loss. But hopefully it is. I think it's going to be a sign of things to come, instead of just one moment that could have been. I think I think this team will give him another chance to take one to the house on a big stage. So I'm really looking forward to watching him on returns this year. Just came down the wire today. Tyler Capena out for the year. Oh man, that is brutal news. Capena was a Canadian kicker. He was clutch. We could count on him. So that is absolutely brutal. It just, that sucks, but I mean, it sucks more for him. Hopefully he's able to recover and get through his injuries, and get back to being healthy. And it's just, he's been a great player for us. Definitely sucks to lose him, but we have a really good backup kicker. It's dang, I forgot to write his name down, but I remembered it. But of course, now that I'm here, I can't remember it. But I mean, at least we're not scrambling to bring guys in. We have a really good backup to take his place, and to make kicks for us this year. I wish I could remember his name. I should have wrote it down. My fault. But I apologize to whatever your name is. But I know that you're a great kicker. Got your back, and he's just it's definitely going to need him to step up, and to be the same kind of kicker Capena is, because kicking is such a huge part of the CFL games, and when you have that field goal kicker where you have the confidence, you don't have to worry about throwing them out there when when you're 35 plus away. So it's like special teams, there are lots of question marks, but we have some great talent, and we have guys that are ready to step up. So I think it's all about putting it together. The potential is there. It's all about putting it together on the field. And before I move on to the defense, one thing I forgot to mention for quarterbacks, I'm glad I remembered it just randomly, but quarterbacks, Brandon Bridge, Canadian quarterbacks, man, I wanted this to be one of my rants, but I forgot. I can't even really talk. Barely can talk about the stupid rule that Canadian quarterbacks don't count as a Canadian. Like, how in the hell can the Canadian Football League have a rule that says a Canadian player is not a Canadian? Like, what? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. How does that help the league, saying a Canadian quarterback doesn't count as a Canadian starter? Like, that is just the biggest bunch of ridiculous bullshit I've ever heard in my life. It makes me so mad and frustrates me so much that I really don't even talk about it, because it just gets me too fired up. Because that's just ridiculous. We should be rewarding CFL teams for starting a Canadian quarterback, not punishing them. Like, what the hell is this? It's the Canadian Football League, and they're talking about, oh, well, maybe we'll change it in a few years. No, you change it now. You don't wait. You change it now. Like, this is ridiculous. How could that rule have ever been in place? Oh, you have to start 7 Canadians unless it's a quarterback. That doesn't count. Like, makes me too mad. That is a joke of a rule that needs to be changed now. Not next season, not 2 seasons from now, not 50 seasons from now. Now. Like, change it now. You're a Canadian is a Canadian. If you're playing on the team, any position and you're Canadian, it counts as a starter. Like, what an absolute joke. And it's no wonder that we don't have any Canadian quarterbacks that have ever been developed or like in a long time, because teams are being punished for starting them. Like, just ridiculous. But I'm glad I remembered that, because I wanted to rant about that, because it absolutely pisses me off to no end. But okay, moving on to the defense, and obviously that it's the go-to saying in football: defense wins championships, and it's true. Offense will win you the game, but defense wins championships. And I mean, it's like last year. Our defense played amazing. It came down to if the defense would have got a stop, we win. They weren't able to, but I don't like to bring that up because it's not the fault of the defense. They were the only reason we were in that game, and they're only the reason. I mean, their performances, throughout this regular season was just why we were in that position. So, but it can't that's why they say defense wins championships, because a lot of the time it comes down to that final stop and keeping that team off the board, holding a lead. So it's the defense wins championships, and the Riders' defense, it needs to be great because there's no room for the Riders' defense to struggle because. We saw it last year. First 6 games, first third of the season, brutal. It was looking like this was getting. People were talking about firing Chris Jones and talking about is the Chris Jones experiment a mistake, and it was things were not looking good. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, at the game at home versus BC, it was just flip switched, and it looked like a completely different team. And I remember one of the reasons why I remembered that is because that game we went to, I was planning on only having a couple beers. Usually I only drink on special occasions or in Road Rider games. Sometimes I'll get her going, but this game I was only gonna have a couple beers because it was an ugly season, and I don't like to go nuts drinking when it's when the game is ugly. So it's. But man, they just started destroying them. We hadn't seen a performance like that from the Riders and the defense in years. I mean, even before Chris Jones. I mean, it was a long, long time before we saw a Rider performance like that. I mean, I think the first few series was like sack. It was just like sack and then punt, sack and then punt, pick six, sack punt, sack fumble. It was just like. It was an unbelievable display of dominance, and it came out of nowhere. Like the Riders had not showed anything like that up to that point, and then all of a sudden, boom, flipped the switch, dominant, and it lasted. It kept going. I mean, they lost some games, but that dominance that they showed stayed with the team. It brought us to the playoffs. It was just. It almost brought us to the Grey Cup. Like it was crazy. It was just a flip, completely switched. Like there's no other way to describe it. They sucked before that BC game at home, and then afterwards, totally different team. So I mean, we need that team that was there for the last 2/3 of the season to show up and be there, because it's defense wins championships, and Some offenses can balance out bad defense, but I don't think our team is able to. I think we need that anchor, that core of great defense. So hopefully the D is able to come together and continue to get back to the form and avoid the struggles that they had coming out of the gates last year, because the struggles coming out of the gate cost us that ability to have the playoffs in the West, to host a playoff game. So if this year, if we can take care of some of those losses, turn them into wins in the first third of the season, definitely going to be hosting a playoff game. And that's where we want to be. We want to be in the West. We want to be going, hosting the Western Final if possible, Western semifinal for sure. But I really believe this. I think that the team obviously showed that they are capable of being dominant. Just gotta. Whatever it is, if it just takes a while to get your season, your regular season legs under you, or whatever it was last year, we got to avoid that slow start on defense, and we got to get back to what we did in the last 2/3 of the season. And if we're able to do that, I think that we have a good chance to be hosting the Western Final, for sure, the Western semifinal. But it's we got to come out. We got to try and come out of the gate strong, because you look around the league. Lots of teams are looking good and solid, and we can't afford to fall behind the 8 ball. And the East is tired of getting crossed over, so they're definitely going to be trying to keep the West out of the crossover this year. So we can't avoid we have to avoid the same struggles that that we dealt with in the first third of the season last year. And it was. The defense was what was leading the charge, so we need them to be as dominant. We just need we need them to return to form. We cannot have a regression on D. Our secondary is looking really solid. Last year they were just ball hawks. They were really great, good with the coverages. It sucks Nick Marshall had to catch an injury, but it looks like it's a minor one. He's good to go, and it's just you'd like for everyone to be 100%, but I mean it could have been major. So we're just be thankful it's a minor injury. Excuse me. Man, Ed Gainey was a monster last year with 10 interceptions. He wants to build on that number. I love where his head's at. Gonna be tough. 10 interceptions is really is a huge number especially for interceptions in one season, and so that's good. I mean that's impossible to approach in any season. Never mind coming off one. Quarterbacks are gonna be approaching him more cautiously. Receivers are gonna be trying to run their routes more crisp. Facing him, but he's an elite talent. He knows how to get his job done. So I think he's gonna definitely will be able to approach that number of 10 and maybe even raise it a little bit higher. And Jovan Johnson, the vet, it's great to have that veteran presence back there. That team that the younger guys can look to and say, well, at least we got Jovan here, so we can he'll if he's not panicking, we don't need to panic. So I love having that veteran presence there. Edom at safety, love having him patrolling the top with Brule, backing him up. And it's Butler in the secondary. I just love our secondary. I think that we have a great one. It's just I don't want to see. Last year, Jerron Carter's interception on Bo Levi Mitchell was such an amazing, crazy moment. I can't believe he actually picked him off and took it to the house. That is your movie moment, and he actually did it. That was awesome. But I think we're much better off if our DBs can be DBs and our wide receivers can be wide receivers. Even though the guy's talented enough to play both ends, I'd really like to see him be able to focus just on his wide receiver duties, and for the DBs to be playing well enough and to be healthy enough to where we don't need Carter to be trying to do both. So it's I'm happy with our secondary. Just hopefully they're able to keep it rolling from last year and not face any kind of regression. Oh man, it's going to be interesting to see Charleston Hughes in green and white, but he is one of those guys that you absolutely love to have on your team, and you'd rather have him with you than against you, because he's a great player, he's dominant, he gets the job done, and he's a tough guy to play against. So I'm very happy to see him in green and white. Obviously, I know he's more towards the end of his career, but sometimes these guys are more motivated to show their former team and show everybody that there's not any regression in my game. When I leave, I'm going to leave as the same player that I've been throughout my entire career. And I think Charleston Hughes is definitely motivated to try and show that. So it's and to have a guy like him on the defensive line is just so huge. And I think these guys are going to have the potential. I think they're going to be able to dominate and punish opponents this year. And it's you got Big Willie Jefferson as well in there. Then Steele. We got Zach Evans, Canadian. I love this defensive line. I think the line has tons of potential to be very dominant this year. But being a broken record, like I say, you just got to put it together. But I think that it's not going to take them long to start absolutely punishing some QBs this year. And as much as I love to see a good offensive line perform, man, I also love to see a defensive lineman just smash through a line and destroy a quarterback. And so it's we got some big hosses on the line this year. So really looking forward to see them deliver some punishing hits. And speaking of punishing hits, our linebacker combo, some people don't think they're as solid and think there's some question marks, but I think these guys are going to be able to put together. I think these guys are going to be able to put together a good middle of the field that opponents are not going to have fun coming across. We got Moncrief, Sam Hurl, Canadian. A lot of people are throwing shade at Sam Hurl, man. Sam Hurl's a really good linebacker, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him shut some mouths this year. Because people, I just like, man, I can't believe the shade people are throwing, but it's I'm looking forward to him to step up and to show people what kind of a player that he is. And oh man, I know I'm gonna butcher this. Aguavin. I'm probably butchered the crap out of it, but you know, like I think that we're solid at linebacker, and you know, with Cam Judge backing up as well, it's like, you know, with our Canadian issue, he's probably not going to be able to start. But it's I think our, you know, people are throwing shade at our linebackers, but I think that I think we have the potential to be able to create a pretty dangerous middle of the field there, and it's. You know, I mean, for me, I just you know, I try to see the best in these guys, and I just. Coming into every year, I think we have the potential to be a great team, to be a Grey Cup team. But, you know, looking at the defense this year, I think it all could. I mean, last year they were dominant, they were looking great, and I just don't see much of a regression going to be happening. I mean, yes, I know we got destroyed in the preseason, but it's preseason. I mean, you're not showing any wrinkles. You're not. It's a different motivation. It's a different. You know, it's different. It's just different energy to the preseason, and it's just different when things are on the line. When you know that there's an L going in the column when you lose this game, and it's, you know, you're further from the playoffs when you lose a game in the regular season. It's just different. So I mean, if you put yourself out there and you take a little bit more of a risk in preseason, the reward is not there, because at the end of the game, yeah, okay, you won the game, but it doesn't. There's no W in the win column. And there's no, you know, like, you're not getting closer to the playoffs. It's just, so, like, I mean, preseason is all about making sure that you're prepared, like giving yourself a little bit of taste of game action, so you can make sure your cardio's right, so you can test your muscles, your explosiveness, to, you know, like, to make sure, you know, like, you know, you're not gonna, you know, like, you know, get into the game one and start to pull a hamstring or something. Like, getting into game speed is completely different than practice. You can't mimic it unless you're in a game, because it's just subconsciously your body just goes to a different point when you know there's no safety net. Like, this is a game, we have to, like, this matters, this counts. So I mean, so I'm not putting any stock into the preseason performances. I think the defense is going to be able to come together, and even though, you know, people aren't as high on, you know, our linebackers and stuff, I think that the defense is going to come together and be able to make us a playoff team that can host a playoff game. So it's looking. I think like I say, I'm optimistic for the team, and I'm optimistic for this season. And so to finish off, last but certainly not least, the wide receivers. And man, I got to talk about the huge releases that came down the wire in the last few days. Rob Bagg, oh my, it's like you just hate to see, you know, great players' careers, and I mean, Rob Bagg is, you know, he's a rider through and through. I mean, he's like one of our, you know, he's just one of our guys. You know, he's one of our legendary riders. So you hate for his rider career to. I mean, it looks like it's ending with the release and not with, you know, with him just retirement and walking away. And it's a tough thing with Rob Bagg. He's clearly towards the end of his career. I mean, I can't even believe he's been one of the longest lasting of the Canadian Air Force. Because it's, I mean, like, nobody thought he was going to really come back from some of those knee injuries. And then even in 2013 when he jammed his knee again, it made me think, oh man, that's it. But he came back and helped us win the Grey Cup. So but I mean, with him gone, that's it. The Canadian Air Force that's it. It was, you know, it's sad. It was, obviously it was going to end one day, but an amazing run. But very surreal to know that the Canadian Air Force is no longer on the riders. And he'd be the last member that would be gone now. So it's it definitely sucks to see his career. He was one of our greatest receivers, one of the best riders on and off the field. He's one of those. If you're building a rider from the ground up, you know, with his character, he's the kind of guy you want. He was such a guy. He worked so hard. He was worth having on the team, and he's Canadian, so you know, he helped out with the ratio. So, I mean, I'm sure it was a tough decision for Chris Jones to release a guy like Rob Bagg. and not just for what he's done with the franchise, but for his contributions. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, Rob Bagg, it is what it is. He can't do. I'm sure he can't do some of the things that he used to be able to do when he was in his prime. And it's like, I mean, Chris Jones needs certain things out of players, and he might not feel. He might not be able to get that out of Rob Bagg out anymore. And it's not a slight. It's just, I mean, time defeats us all, at some point, in every step, our athletic prime, our professional life. I mean, time takes everything away, and it is what it is. So it's not a slight against Rob Bagg, but it's just, I'm sure some team, like, if there is any room for Rob Bagg, he'll get picked up somewhere. Hopefully, if he wants to keep playing, this isn't the end of the line for him. But it's just a big time cheers, and much love and God bless to Rob Bagg and his family. He was a great rider, and hopefully he's around the team and community for years to come, because we had a lot of love for him, and he did. We appreciate the effort and the energy he put into the team, and it was just such a treat and a pleasure to watch him perform and be entertained by the great things that he did on the field. So definitely a tough day to see Rob Bagg be released. Bakari Grant, another veteran that was fitting great on the Riders. He was, great veteran presence. Came up with some great key catches last year, and it's just another guy that's definitely more towards the end of his career, but at the same time was still able to make contributions, and it just sucks to see guys end their maybe end their careers like this, but end their careers with the Riders. And just big time cheers, and much love and God bless to him and his family. Going forward, if he wants to continue, hopefully he catches on somewhere. If he's retiring, hopefully he enjoys retirement. Has definitely earned it. But it sucks to see. It's always a crappy day when guys that want to be part of the team, want to keep moving forward, get released. So, but I definitely appreciate all the contributions and all the entertainment that Bakari Grant gave us. And then, man, Flying Hawaiian, Chad Owens. It was, he's been one of the greatest CFL players to watch, and he's been one of the great players for the league on and off the field. And it was awesome to have him in Rider Nation in green and white. And frustrating last year to really not get much of a chance to see him. Only 3 games because he's dealing with injuries. And all 3 guys closer to the end of their career than obviously their prime. But I think he's still got stuff left to give. But apparently he was coming up with some injuries again. And we just really needed him to be healthy. It's for him to have a whole off season and still come in with catching injuries. It's like you just have to make a decision going forward. And I mean, you'd love to be able to have a team where a guy could sit out for the entire season and come in the last few games and be fresh as a daisy and ready to rock and roll over everyone. I mean, that was an awesome thing last year. It'd be a great thing to have, but you just can't build and run your team like that, and you can't really make a plan of attack for the season like that. So it's unfortunate that we won't get to see Chad Owens, do his thing and green and white this year, but it was great to have. He totally embraced being a part of Rider Nation. It was awesome to see, and it sucks because it's I love the Riders and Rider Nation, and I love when other players come in and get to experience that and get to feel that positivity and that good energy. So, and it just sucks to see that end, and hopefully if Chad Owens wants to keep playing, that he's able to. And if he retires, he sure as heck earned it. And he'll have a great legacy in the CFL. And I'm glad that he was able to have a little bit of it with the Riders. And I was looking forward to seeing him, be healthy this year and be able to contribute all year. But it is what it is. So big time cheers and much love and God bless to Chad Owens and his family going forward. If he finds another opportunity or if he retires, it was a tough day to see those 3 big names get cut and be released. But it's going to happen to every player. Time decides the end of every player's career. So it just seems like this may be it. But if I was looking forward to seeing all 3 guys, but you can't keep everyone on the team. So just big time cheers and God bless to all 3 guys going forward. And so that means that is left down to It is left up to Jerron Carter, Caleb Hawley, and Naaman Roosevelt to anchor down the wide receiver spots, because those three guys are definitely three talented players you'd be satisfied with going as your receivers. And we need the offensive line to give our quarterbacks time to find these guys, because we have so much talent. Like, these three guys have so much talent. It's just, they can get open anywhere on the field, and it's all about the quarterback having enough time to get the ball to them. And these guys, big, tall guys that can stretch the field and make it challenging for these DBs. So like I say, like, if the offensive line just can do their job and able to provide the protection, the team is around them to be great and to go to the Grey Cup. It sucks, another release, Mitch Picton. I was really hoping he would stay with the team. I love to see Regina Rams guys, stick with the Riders and get to have a career. And he seemed like he had a good season, good preseason and training camp. So I was surprised to see his name on there. As being a Canadian, he would have been nice to have on the team. But the coaches know what they know. So it is what it is. Hopefully he catches on somewhere, because he's a great talent. And he down the road, I'm sure down the road, he could be open for him to come back to the Riders as he grows as a player. But I guess right now he wasn't the right fit. But we still have three really good wide receivers to anchor that spot. We have inexperienced and unproven Canadian receivers, so it's going to be interesting to see if somebody or who will be the one to step up and fill the role that's left open. All these great receivers we're talking about that have been cut and have retired, they all started out as the young guys trying to get that opportunity and waiting for a spot to open up and get the opportunity. So the land of opportunity is there in the wide receiver world for the Riders. If these guys step up and make big plays and raise their game to another level, they're going to be able to see themselves solidify a spot and be on the field more times than not. So it's like I said before, I really hope that Jerron Carter is able to focus 100% on being a wide receiver, and that he's able to that the O-line is able to give the quarterbacks time to get these guys the ball in the right situations. Because Jerron Carter made maybe one of the greatest catches in CFL or football history last year. That one-handed grab, that was amazing. So like I say, if the O-line can give the QBs time, the QBs can put this ball where the wide receivers can go get it anywhere on the field. So that's like, after breaking it all down, I don't think I'm crazy of being optimistic about this season and this team. I think we have the talent. I think that the Grey Cup talent is there. It's just all about putting it together and trying to figure out what caused the struggles in the first to start the year last year, that first third, and trying to figure out what we need to do to avoid them this year. And it's despite the rough preseasons, who cares? Preseason is like nothing. If I were a football player, if I were a star player, man, unless I felt I needed to, I would put so little effort into the preseason. I'd probably be fined and be running laps at practice until forever. Because man, if I was a star player, especially something like a running back or something, oh man, I would care. There'd no way, unless I felt I needed to be in there to get the contact and have the game speed to get ready. If I felt I could be ready, by just playing regular season without actually playing the preseason, I would care so little about it, I'd probably be fined. So, I don't care about the results of preseason. It's, these guys, I just believe we have the talent to put it together, and it can happen at any time. It's all about just figuring it out and then doing it. So, it's hopefully the Riders have a really good week of practice this week, so they can, fine-tune the things that need fine-tuning, fix the mistakes that they were making, and, go into game one in this season just rocking and rolling, just like we were last season, and not, pick up from where we were left off last season and raise our game to the next level, because we were right there last season. Those last 2/3 of the season, we were playing great. In the playoffs, we were playing great for the most part. And it's just, we want to keep moving forward. We don't want to stay at that level or move backwards. So, just got to figure it out, figure out what needs to be done, and get her done. And I don't want to waste some of the collection, some of the talent we have. I don't want to waste the collection of the coaching staff we have. I really believe in this coaching staff. I believe in Chris Jones as the head coach. I believe he loves football. He loves to win, wants to win. That everything he does is about winning. He's not going to make a mistake just to mess with a player, or he's not going to make him do something just because he doesn't like a guy. I believe he's someone that would work with somebody if he didn't like, because he knows he can win with that person. So, I don't want to waste having this coaching staff and this all the collection of coaches and personnel that we have. I just think that this is a group that deserves a Grey Cup championship, deserves a ring, and I just don't want to see it to go to waste with just making mistakes that you shouldn't be making. And the Riders I believe this team is night and day different from what we saw in the preseason, and I really hope that the team shows that when the regular season starts, and that we just avoid the struggles that we had to start the year last year. And if we did, man, I miss hosting a playoff game. I want to host a playoff game in New Mosaic. So this is the year to make it happen. We have exciting players. We have an exciting team. We got players that have NFL experience. We got exciting characters like Deron Carter. We got beasts like Messam. We have a Canadian quarterback in Bridge. We have a great elite level quarterback in Caleros. This is a great group. It's a great team, and if we put it together, they can win the Grey Cup, and we can host a playoff game. And I want to be hosting the Western Final, at the very least, the Western Semifinals. So I'm excited about this team. I'm optimistic about this season, and I don't think I'm crazy to feel that way as I just broken down. Before I wrap things up, I just want to kind of go around the CFL and just talk very briefly about every team. I mean, I'm a CFL fan, so I try and follow every team. But the Riders is trying to keep up with the Riders and everything is enough work. So I don't have as much the ins and outs as the other teams, but I do follow every team. So just want to talk a little bit about, kind of go in order of how I think things are going to finish. I gotta say, as much as it pains me to admit, I believe that the number one teams in each division are going to be Winnipeg. I think is going to finish number one in the West, and Toronto number one in the East. I think Winnipeg, despite the injury to Nichols, really glad to hear that it's only it's a short term. It's not a season long thing. I want to beat the Bummers at every step. Trust me, but I don't want to see them have injury struggles or guys not be able to perform because of injury. I want the best version on the field, and I want to beat the best version. I'm hopefully Nichols is able to come back, but I really think that Brian Bennett, he's had his struggles, and he's the jury's definitely out on whether he's going to be a starting level quarterback, but to me he's just got the mindset and the motivation that everybody thinks that the Bombers are going to suck and need to bring somebody in and that nobody else can step up. I think that his competitiveness will kind of push him to getting the Bombers some more wins during this period that Nichols is out, so that they're not going to fall towards the bottom of the pack. They're going to keep themselves competitive and give Nichols time to. He's not going to have to come back at the absolute first point. He'll be able to give himself some breathing room, and come back when he's absolutely 100% ready to go. I think that the Bomber quarterbacks, maybe if it's not Bennett, I don't know why, I just have a feeling that these guys are going to will the team to a few more wins than you might think, and that they're not going to need to bring in another quarterback, and when Nichols comes back, they won't be far behind the eight ball. They'll be kind of right in the thick of things. Could be wrong, but that's kind of what I see. I think the rest of their team is good enough that they'll be able to lift up the quarterback and give them an opportunity to win football games. So it pains me to admit, trust me. I love when the Bummers lose. And I'm glad that they're now starting to post really good profits, because there was getting to a time to where it's like, man, you can't even really cheer against them because it's, fans are really sick of not winning a Grey Cup since 1990. But I'm glad to see them posting a profit again and doing well, so that we can get back to rivalry thinking more than CFL the health of the CFL thinking. But I think they're going to do well. I don't think they'll miss much of a beat with the Nichols injury. Toronto obviously won the Grey Cup last year, still one of the best teams in the league, and I think that they're going to continue that, not going to regress very much. It's I'm glad that the stuff with James Wilder Jr. is kind of behind them. I mean, I know he wants to be in the NFL and get big paydays, but at the same time, you just got to roll with your commitments and your contracts, and it'll make you a better man and a better person and a better football player. So it's I'm glad things. I'm glad. Obviously, I want the Riders to win, but I want exciting players in the CFL. I want exciting players throughout all the teams. So I'm glad to have guys like James Wilder Jr. in the league, being a great player, and I think Toronto is not gonna have much of a regression. They're gonna probably finish number 1 in the East, and I believe the Riders are hosting the Western semifinal this year. That's where my prediction for the Riders is coming, and but right on their tails, I believe is going to be Calgary and Edmonton. Calgary has to be out of their minds with the way their Grey Cups have gone in the last few years. And, the windows, Calgary's done a great job with keeping the window opening through the last, 10, 15 plus years by just constantly bringing in talent, not being afraid to move on from guys. And, it's just it's when I see the window for some of these guys might be closing, they're always bringing in talent, creating new windows. They're always going to be a really good team, and they're always kind of in the conversation for top. But I think that this year they're going to get caught by a couple teams, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, to be specific. But I think this year they're going to find themselves with more adversity than they've had in the previous years, and I think they're going to. And Edmonton can be right behind them, kind of the same thing. They were able to win the Grey Cup in the last few years, but that was with Chris Jones, so that's a long time ago now, and they're obviously more than hungry to get there. And Jason Moss has done a great job. Seems to be way more volatile as a coach than he was as a player. But it's fun to watch him. Fun to watch him go through his emotions as a coach, and he's got these Edmonton guys playing well for him. So Edmonton's going to be right up there, and I think they're going to be, Calgary and Edmonton are going to, one of those two are going to be coming to Regina for the Western semifinal, and the other will be fighting for the crossover. So, and I think the other two, Ottawa and Hamilton on the Eastern side. I think that Ottawa is probably going to host the Eastern semifinal, and then it's kind of up in the air to what Hamilton's going to do. Really, it comes down to their quarterback situation. It's obviously, Johnny Manziel is the big. He's the big lightning rod for attention right now. But Masoli is seems to be the number one guy. It's his team to lead right now. He's been a great player. He looks like he's ready to take that step, put himself into the guaranteed starter status in the CFL. So it's going to be interesting to see how Manziel and Masoli are able to. Get that relationship, if they're able to help each other and complement each other, or if it kind of starts to go off the rails. And Manziel still obviously has a lot to learn about the CFL, even as a football player. He wasn't lighting things up in the NFL, but CFL is definitely closer to college than the NFL is. So, and I don't think it's going to take long for Manziel to really start enjoying the CFL and really starting to figure out how to succeed in the CFL, how to use his talents. Because with his athleticism, and he can throw the football. So he's not. Excuse me. He's not just a runner. He's not just an athletic guy. He can make room for himself and then make a decision to throw the football. So it's I love redemption stories. I love people seeing people move from from maybe a closer to the worst version of themselves to the best version of themselves. I'm cheering for Manziel. I hope he's able to, have some success in the CFL, put his life back on track, put his career back on track. I think if he embraces the CFL, and especially Hamilton, like with such a grassroots community, it's a steel town. It's like lunchbox type community. So if he really embraces Hamilton in the CFL, I think he's going to find a lot more. I think he's going to find a lot more than football success or getting back to the NFL. I think he'd really find out a lot about himself as a person and really help himself grow. And it's like it's sometimes when you're in a position of fame and fortune, you kind of lose some of the more grassroots things about yourself and some of the more better qualities and some of the qualities that you forget to appreciate or to forget to strengthen when you have like fame and fortune. So it's I think being in the CFL could be a really great thing for Johnny Manziel, and you never know. I mean, the guy is pretty well off in life, so he could end up wanting to stick around for good in the CFL. It's a great game. I mean, that's why I say it's not can't compare it to the NFL. They're just such different leagues and games. I mean, an extra down completely changes things. Like the field being wider and longer completely changes things. Like the rouge, the waggle completely change things. So it's two completely different versions of football, and you can't compare them because they're just the strategies and the type of players that you have to be in the games are just totally different. So you're 100% able to enjoy both. That's why I just want I really try to hammer home that CFL fans, you can support the NFL without without slighting the CFL, I guess. I mean, you can support the CFL without slighting the NFL. It doesn't mean you think one's better than the other. It's just different versions of football. And I love them both. I love 3-down football. I love 4-down football. And it's it's just both. There's different strategies and intricacies to each game. That's the best thing about it. It's like you get two. You could easily just have one version of football, but now we have two to celebrate and enjoy. So it's and I really think Johnny Manziel is going to enjoy the CFL version of football, and I think that he'll enjoy Hamilton. I think his skill set will be suited to the CFL. It's all about really mindset and heart. If your mind and heart is in the right place, then he has the physical tools to do everything else. But one of the best things he can bring more eyes to the product. He can make people pay attention to the CFL. So it's not a bad thing that he's here. I mean, obviously it's frustrating that he comes right in and gets all the attention and more attention than Mazzoli and more attention than every other team basically, and TSN gives him another preseason game. But it just is what it is. I mean, he will bring in viewers, he'll bring in numbers, he'll bring in business. So that's what the CFL is. It's a game, but it's a business. So, I mean, it's only the smart thing, and it only helps the CFL to bring more attention. I mean, if he starts bringing negative attention and doing negative things, he'll be gone. Like, he's not going CFL is a great league. It's a great place. It's a positive place, and we're just not going to put up with somebody that would do the kinds of things to get railroaded out of the league. I don't think that's going to be anything close to where we're going. I think Manziel's going to surprise a lot of people, and I think he's going to bring in a lot of eyes and a lot more business for the CFL, and hopefully that can help raise the CFL to the next level. We can have, maybe more. We can bring in some owners with more money that can invest more in the CFL, and players can be paid more. We can have better productions. We can have, better facilities. We can have better coaches, just better referees, better everything. But the better the business can be for the CFL, the better it is for all the teams and for all the fans. So Johnny Manziel is good for business for the CFL. He has football talent. It's not like some bums coming in here and getting a talent. The guy is a good football player. He needs a stage to prove that he's a great football player. He wasn't with the NFL wasn't the right stage at that point in his life, but I believe the CFL is the right stage at this point in his life. So it's going to be interesting to see how that situation works out in Hamilton. If they're going to be able, if they all come together, Hamilton can be a dangerous team. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I can't wait. Not only. It's nice to have a reason to want to watch not only Rider games, but every other games. I mean, I usually do try and watch all the other CFL games, but I'm really going to be paying attention to Hamilton to see how the team comes together and just to see, if Johnny Manziel is able to what he's able to do with things. But also Mazzoli, it's like, Mazzoli he's right at that point where people can look at him as a starter, and other teams might look at trying to bring him if Manziel starts to play well. So I love to see people try and be great. I love to see people raise their game. I love to see people try and be the best version of themselves, to try and just positively change. So I think it's a great storylines for the CFL and across the board, and I think I'm really excited for not only the Riders season, but the rest of the CFL season. Especially with the things that are been going on in Hamilton. Ottawa has been such a breath of fresh air into the CFL. Like the way the fans have embraced the team, like everything with how they've embraced the lumberjack culture with the team, and the lumberjoes, and how they saw off the wood after every touchdown, and the R Nation. It's just, you could not ask for a better expansion franchise, and it's just, they have just been just couldn't ask for a better run. They got to win the Grey Cup, so to connect, have that emotional bridge that emotional connection with the fans, and it's been a great atmosphere for teams to go in there and play. It's just, I love that Ottawa's back in the CFL, and not only just back, but probably is in a better position than they've ever been before, even as the former Rough Riders or the Renegades or anything like that. So it's I'm just so glad that Ottawa's culture has Ottawa's culture has embraced and just created this amazing atmosphere around the Red Blacks. So they're certainly not going to be going away or being pushed over to be crossed over to just let Hamilton walk into a potential playoff game. So the East is very, very interesting this year. It's going to be really I think Toronto, I think it's going to be Toronto, Ottawa, Hamilton, Montreal, but man, it's could easily be completely flipped around on that. So the best thing about the CFL, it's like, you never really can put your finger on what's, for sure what's going to happen. So looking forward to that. Now, last but not least, but I think this year, BC and Montreal are going to be the teams bringing up the rear. And BC and Montreal seem like they're in rebuilding phases. They both have had great years in the past, but it all needs to come back around to a rebuilding phase and things like that. So it's just BC and Montreal's turn. Both have great fan bases, great cultures. Both definitely are struggling though. So I really hope things don't get too bad in BC or Montreal this year. I mean, both great teams. It's it's just it's tough to tickets a tough sell, absolutely, in anywhere when a team is not winning or rebuilding. But the CFL is a fun game on any night, and it's like, even though a team might not be fighting for the playoffs or the Grey Cup every single year, on any given night you can be entertained with a great game. And there's lots of great players in the CFL right now for any team to you can enjoy coming out. So hopefully the fans in BC and Montreal still support the teams throughout the season, still come out and enjoy some of these some of the bigger games with some of the other teams, CFL teams coming into town. It's CFL is a great product, and BC and Montreal are great teams, great towns, for great football towns. So I just don't want to. I want this. I guess I don't want to seem too worried about the CFL or some teams, but I want the CFL and all teams to be as healthy as possible. So I think that BC and Montreal are going to be I don't have the worst teams in the league this year, but hopefully the fans keep supporting them, so they have not horrible years for the team finances, but hopefully just better years than we might have thought for rebuilding or struggling teams. That kind of brings me to the end of the CFL preview. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a great CFL season. We've definitely recovered from the addition of a ninth team. With the CFL and the talent pool, it's not the biggest talent. Like the NFL already takes in a lot of players. 8 teams already take a lot of players. So with the 9th team, I felt that we struggled a little bit, finding players in the talent pool to keep the product at the high level it was in the first couple of years of the when the Ottawa came in, I thought the overall product suffered, but the last couple of years I think we've been back, especially last year. I thought we had lots of great games. I think that's just going to continue getting better this year. So really looking forward to the CFL product as a whole this year. Definitely looking forward to the Riders season. I think we're going to be hosting the Western semifinal, hopefully above, but trying to weather my expectations here. And just a couple last two comments I wanted to make. Just wanted to give a cheers and a big shout out to the commish, Randy Ambrosi. He has done such an awesome job and been such a night and day from Jeffrey Orridge. Like, he has just been a breath of fresh air, and he's making the decisions. Almost seems like almost every decision he's made is something that the fans have been wanting and talking about, and it's just, and things that are talked about in the future I'm just excited about, and I think he's the guy to lead the CFL into the next level, into the next generation. And I'm so glad he's been the choice, and I really hope he keeps wanting to do the job for years to come, because I can't see fans or anybody wanting him to be ousted with the amazing job he's done so far. So hopefully he keeps doing a great job, and I think he's done an amazing job so far. So big time cheers to Randy Ambrosi. And and one final thing, just for Rider Nation, I think we need to kick up the noise and the rowdiness at the games this year. I know that some people, like cheering for the entire game. I know some people can't do it. It's hard. Not like for me. I feel like I'm doing something wrong if I'm not doo or boo or any kind of noise while Riders are on defense. It's like, because not making noise helps the other team. And I know that not everybody can yell every single time Riders are on defense or everything. And I know you can't clap every time, but do something, make noise, bring a clapper, bring a cowbell, bring something that'll make noise. Like if you can't clap or if you can't use your voice, you can shake your hand or something. But honestly, there's too many people, you look around in a Rider game just sitting there like completely silent, like not making any noise, yay or nay, and almost looking like they're in a bad mood, like with a sour look on their face. It's like, why are you here? Like, enjoy yourself, get up, cheer. Like, not cheering when the Riders, not making noise when the Riders are on defense helps the other team. So if you want to help the Riders, like, man, just make noise, any kind of noise you can, because just too often I see people just sitting there not cheering. It's like our job as fans is to make noise when the Riders are on defense. That's our job. That's our duty. And that's why we buy a ticket. It's like, you can buy, lots of people say you buy a ticket, you can do whatever you want. But really at a football game, when you buy a ticket, it's to support the fans, to support the team, to cheer for the offense when they're doing good, and to, make lots of noise when the Riders are on defense. So the defense gets that energy and motivation to crush through the line or to make that interception, to knock down the pass at the same time, so that the other team can't hear what they're doing. But it's just too often times there's you don't look around and see everybody cheering, and that's the difference between Saskatchewan and Winnipeg. I found when I go to Winnipeg, you see lots more of people making noise. Like you see, like when you look around in Winnipeg, almost everybody's trying to do something to make noise. And I know it's different, way bigger population in Winnipeg, so there's a younger population at these games. And Regina is an older city, older population, so more older people are at this game. I understand that, I'm aware, but just because I don't care how old you are, you can make some noise. And it's it's a shame that, obviously it's a shame the 2009 Grey Cup had to happen the way it did. But it was really a shame, because I really feel that killed off a lot of the rowdy fans from Rider Nation, because that, like, a lot of the mainstream bandwagon type fans. But at that point the Riders were cool, man. Rider games were cool. It was cool. It was a badge of honor to wear a Rider jersey, to wear the Rider logo. It was just, Riders were cool. They were hip. Like they were the thing. Then 2009 happened, and all of a sudden they were not cool anymore. Wearing that Rider logo meant people were making fun of you. They were laughing at you. So all of a sudden those fringe fans, the mainstream bandwagon fans, jumped off, because it's like, well, the Riders aren't cool anymore. You don't want to be made fun of. You don't want to be laughed at. So it's like, a lot of those fans stopped, supporting the team, stopped coming to games, stopped, and those and lots of those, rowdy mainstream fringe fans are the ones that make lots of noise. Like they're yelling during the defense. They're bringing the noisemakers. They're clapping. So I'm not trying to say older fans are bad, young fans are good. I'm not trying to say that Winnipeg blah blah blah. All I'm saying is that people need to make more noise at Rider games. That's all I'm saying. And whether you have to bring something to make noise, or whether you just have to make yourself yell on defense or clap or do anything, hey! My go-to is just D, boo, switching between D and boo for the entire time until the ball is snapped. Take a break. Once they get ready to go again, go right into it. It's like, that's our duty. It's our job. If we become the loudest stadium, if we become crazy loud and offenses can't hear themselves think when they're doing it, that helps the riders, and that helps our enjoyment of the product. So I wanted to mention that we need to make some more. We need to raise the noise level at Mosaic this year, especially with it being a new stadium, and especially with, the team needs it. Like, to be able to, like, part of putting it together and coming together is knowing you have the fan support, and the fans have your back, and getting that emotion and and that energy you feel when the crowd is going nuts. So I wanted to mention, hopefully we can get an increase of a noise level at Mosaic this year. But that'll bring me to the end of this. Definitely went longer than I thought it was going to be. But once I love the Riders, I love the CFL. And once I get going, I just it's like wrestling. I just can't stop. But it's good. I think it's going to be a great season for both the CFL and the Riders. I got our season tickets. I can't wait for the home opener this Friday. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be great. My voice is going to be ready. I'm ready to see a victory. We beat Toronto as Grey Cup champs. They're the ones that kept us from the Grey Cup last year. We were right there, beat them. We just needed one more stop. Unfortunately, didn't get it. So this is a big game. I want to start off strong. I want to see the team, dominate. And it's just, I know we have the talent to do it. We have the team to do it. I believe we just got to put it together and get it done. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be an emotional year. With paying tribute to Humboldt Broncos team. It's so awesome to see the Riders travel out to Humboldt and have just a Riders Day, hold a practice there, and just to really connect with the community, meet everyone, meet some of the survivors. It's just it's just amazing to see the community and the whole world basically step up to help support and to just not only the survivors but the community and everybody that's affected. So then they're going to be wearing the Humboldt Strong on the helmets all season. So it's going to be an emotional season. But it's just things like that just help the team come together. It helps everything come together, and it's and they're going to be the game before Canada Day is going to be honoring, a big honoring celebration. So it's just going to be a very emotional season, but it's it just lets you know why you're doing this, and why those kids were getting on the bus, so they could hopefully one day maybe get to the level of being a professional to inspire energy and emotions and entertainment in people the same way that they're sports heroes and stars have done for them. So it's it's an amazing thing the Riders are doing to connect to Humboldt and the Broncos and the community, and it's so awesome to just amazing, incredible to see the Humboldt Broncos Warrior class, the survivors, these guys out there, Ryan Strasniski and Caleb Dahlgren, Xavier LaBelle, and it's just I know some families and some of these guys want privacy, so I'm not gonna I want to respect that and just give everybody as much privacy and support as possible, and just by their wishes. But whether you want us to be up in your grill or just taking a step back, we support you guys 100%. We're with you the whole way. We're watching, and we're supporting you. It's absolutely staying in my prayers, and it's just so inspiring to watch. These just every single survivor. I try and stay stay reading the news and just try to stay involved in reading everybody's story and following and just reading. I tried to watch all the vigils. Not all the way through yet. That's it's tough, but I really want to do that to just just to connect as much as possible to this, because these. I just want to take in the story as much as possible, because for the 16 people that passed away, it's like, their physical story ended, so it's like they don't have the opportunity themselves to physically put it out there. So it's up to us to connect to it and to put it out there, with the wishes of the family, the ones that want the story out there, but just to keep it going and to connect ourselves to them, and to just even in the few weeks since, just in different times in my life when things have started to frustrate me or get up, it's just pulling out things that I've learned from these stories, and from the survivors' experiences, or from the stories I've learned from watching the vigils and some of the funerals and things like that. It's like it's helped me move forward, and it's helped me, and it's like things like that are how we keep the legacy of these people moving forward, and how we keep their legacy going. And so it's like, we just got to. It's just got to keep that support going, and it's just, and just connect ourselves as much as possible. It's, as time goes by, it's the impact, the impact on your conscience, I guess, lessens a little bit, but the impact on our hearts and souls never lessens. So it's, even though the time passes and the impact on your conscience starts to maybe lessen a little bit, the impact that, not only the story, not only what happened in the crash, but just when you learn about how these kids were living their lives, and how the story about Coach Darcy Hagen's kids, about how his Darcy Hagen's father was was angry and upset after hearing it, and he didn't want to pray with the family, and his young son said, it's okay, Pops, like, I'll pray for you, I'll pray. And it's just like, that is just, I don't know that I'd be able to, I don't know, I hope that in a time like that I'd be able to have the strength and the maturity and the fortitude to not get angry, and to be able to take a deep breath and continue to pray and to reach for God, because in tragedies like this, it's so easy to go away from it. So I'm so glad that the survivors and the families are sharing their stories, and it's I absolutely respect the ones that don't want to keep privacy and aren't sharing it, because it's the worst thing in the world. It's the hardest thing, and it's there's no judgment either way. Like I say, whether up in your grill or taking a step back, we'll support you 100%. And I'm just so glad to see the riders stepping up to support the Broncos throughout the season. And it's to be wearing the humble strong phrase on the helmets to keep it on everyone's conscience, to make sure that just don't forget, because it's up to us to keep the legacies and their stories moving forward. And so it's as tough as it is sometimes, it's it's what we need to do. We need to be together. We need to help each other to move forward. And so it's going to be a great season in the CFL. It's going to be a great season for the Riders. It's going to be emotional and tough at times, but we're all together, and if we help each other and stay together, we're going to get through it. And we're going to have the best version of this world and the best version of ourselves. That's what it's all about. I'm a broken record. I know they say that so much, but it's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So that brings me to the end of today. Hopefully you're able to. Hopefully you enjoyed the preview, and if you weren't a CFL fan, hopefully you're becoming one and give the league a chance this year. It's a great league. It's fun. Definitely pick it. If you're starting fresh, you get to pick a team, and it's and start with it. And every team has great legacies, lots of history. So it's we're more than welcome to jump into Rider Nation, absolutely. But we have eight other great teams with lots of history, great fan bases, great franchises. So it's I love the CFL, I love the Riders, and I'm pumped that we're right on the eve of another great CFL season. So that's it for me. I thank everyone for coming along for the ride, and we'll see you soon down the road. Much love and God bless. Peace.